Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. As a human species, we have evolved to be storytellers. It's been key to our survival. And so in the spirit of evolution, I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you the story of We Love Reading. And together we're going to embark on a journey that's going to be life-changing through reading aloud. In 2005, my husband and my children, as a family, we looked around us and we realized that children in Jordan and in the Arab world do not read for pleasure. They read for education, they all go to school, they're literate, but they don't read for fun. They read for religious reasons, but they don't read for fun. And an alarming statistics came out from the Arab Thought Foundation that stated that the average number of minutes read per year by an Arab was 6 minutes a year. So definitely we had a problem. And I'm a scientist, and as a scientist, I wanted to explore why don't children read for pleasure? But first of all, why are we discussing reading for that matter? Why is reading so important, especially reading for pleasure? Well, for three main reasons, and I'm sure you can come up with a dozen more. First of all, when children read, they read about other cultures and other communities in other places and times, and this allows them to draw from other people's experiences so that they can make a difference in their own communities, rather than depending on the narrow experiences they have in their real community. They also draw from the stories that they read the courage to make a difference in their communities. They become the heroes that they read about. In addition, when children read, they learn to communicate, they learn to listen, and most importantly, they learn to express themselves so that they can better change their community and make a difference around them. And more importantly, through reading, the imagination grows and the horizon expands, and there becomes no limit to what they can do. So reading is definitely very important. As I said, as a scientist, I wanted to understand why don't children love to read. And I found out through research and observations in the field that the reason children don't love to read is not for lack of books, as many organizations think. Actually, the real reason children don't love to read is because they haven't been read to as children, even as early as when they were in their mother's womb. So research has shown that if a child is read to by a parent early on, the child develops an unconscious connection between the sound of reading and the pleasure of reading and the feeling of security, happiness, safety. So when the child grows up, when she's happy, she likes to read. When she's sad, she likes to read because it gives her this good feeling deep down inside. So together as a family, we found the solution. The solution is that parents have to read to children. Great. Can I train every parent to read aloud? That's impossible. Do I know somebody in the government who would, take it, make it a public policy? No, I don't. Do I have a lot of money that I can, create a program all by myself in Jordan? No, I didn't have that kind of money. But I felt that the knowledge I had was a responsibility, and I had to do something because I had the key. I know how to make these children into readers and therefore change their lives in the future and change the life of the community. So the least we thought we could do is to start reading in our neighborhoods to the children in my own neighborhood. And that's what we did. But as we were trying to create this read aloud session that we wanted to do, we looked around us. We wanted a space. We wanted a public space. I didn't want to use my home because what if the neighbor doesn't like my mother-in-law and doesn't want to send her kids to my house, right? Your home is a kind of a private thing. So we looked around us, and in the Jordan and the Arab world, in every neighborhood, there's a mosque. So we thought, why don't we use the mosque? It's got a carpet, it's got a bathroom, any child can come to it. It's a great place. So my husband and I, he went and talked to the imam, who's the person in charge of the mosque, and he told them we would like to read aloud stories to children on Saturday morning. And of course, because we are from the neighborhood, he knows us, he knows my children. He said, of course, you're welcome. Please come and read aloud to the children. So in February 2006, we actually started our first read aloud session in the mosque in my neighborhood. Now, the first time, 25 children showed up, but they didn't show up because they were coming to listen to read for pleasure. They showed up because their parents, as usual, we're parents, we love to educate our children. So when they heard that there was going to be a reading session, they forced their children to come to attend to the reading session. And the children had enough of education, enough of religion, they didn't want to go. But they went because, children listen to their parents. However, when they come, I dress up in a funny hat, and I have my bag of puppets, and I have these really wonderful stories that come from the everyday life of the children. And I read 2 or 3 in an animated voice, and then the children actually line up so that they can take the books home. And in their homes, they reread the books, or even if they can't read, they look at the pictures, and then they start asking their parents to read to them, or they read to their siblings. And we were successful. We were able to create children who wanted to come to the read aloud. The week after, all the children were waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning on a weekend, begging their parents to come to the read aloud because they were having fun. So we planted in them the feeling of independence, that they were attending something they wanted, they enjoyed, rather than doing something that their parents asked them to do. And our testimonial, how these children became readers, is that they started recommending books to each other. They know the names of the authors. If one of the girls is at the end of the line, she'll tell me, could you keep this book till the bottom of the pile so when it's my turn I get the book? So these children became readers literally. And of course the effect, and this is what we called a library. And so in our definition, a library is it's a living library. It's not the physical space. It's actually the experience of reading aloud. And all it needs is one adult to read aloud to a group of children in a public space on a routine basis, books that are in the native tongue of the child and relate to his everyday life, and it's fun and it's pleasure for the children, not educational in that sense. And this library was the model which we worked on for We Love Reading, which we later called We Love Reading. Now, of course, the books that affected the children, we found out that what happened is that these children, first of all, started doing better in school. These children had more confidence. These children, even in some of the Za'atari camp, the Syrian refugee camp in Jordan, where we also started libraries for We Love Reading, the children didn't like to go to the schools because the schools were not very well equipped. The teachers were not very good teachers, according to the children parents' reports. But these children insisted to go to these schools, even if they were not up to a standard, because they wanted so much to learn to read so that they can have access and read more and more stories and have more and more fun. So we planted in them the seed, the need and the want that they wanted to read, that they loved to read, and that allowed them to access all the schooling and the education that was there. Also, these children would take the books home and then copy all the text and all the pictures and then return the book back so they could and then get another one, and while at that time keeping the book to themselves. Some of the children in the refugee camp would go from one sector to another to attend a read aloud session. And some children would actually come from outside the camp to attend a read aloud session because they loved it so much, although the camp was not the best place and it's not a very nice place to be. So these children became readers and they became change makers. The way they became change makers is that we started advertising that these libraries are platforms for changing behavior of children. So what we did is last year we developed 12 storybooks for children on the theme of protecting the environment, energy conservation, water conservation, and anti-littering. And we measured the behavior of children before they started reading these books and then after. And we were able to show an 80% increase in positive behavior just by virtue of reading stories. So this is a much more cost-efficient and effective and sustainable way to change behavior rather than TV ads and billboards that really don't have an effect, because the children, after reading the stories, start advocating within their homes to their parents to adopt the similar behavior. And the effect, in order to create more and more libraries, of course, we have to train adults to open these libraries. Most of these adults that we've trained up till now are women. So our training is about how to read aloud as an art and how to start the library in your neighborhood, how to find the place, how to gather the children, how to keep your library going. And what ended up as a spin-off, that our training for women resulted in these women becoming leaders in their communities, respected, and their opinion being taken. And by virtue of them being leaders, they themselves became empowered. They became social entrepreneurs, identifying other problems in their communities and trying to come up with solutions for them. Some of these women opened businesses, and even some of them found jobs, because when you read aloud, it's about eye contact, it's about posture, it's about public speaking. And I'll tell you the story of one lady. Her name is Nabila. She's a grandmother. she never finished high school. She didn't like reading. She heard about We Love Reading and came and attended it just, to pass her time. She attended the training. And then she went back and started a library in her neighborhood. She not just became a leader in her neighborhood. As she was reading the environment books, the children in her neighborhood cleaned up the neighborhood, and it became the most famous clean neighborhood in the city, and she won an award from the minister. She also started her own business for compost as a result of trying to save the environment. And Nabila had cancer, and for her, the only thing that kept her going through her chemotherapy was feeling that she had a responsibility towards the children, towards her community. And our training has actually been adopted by UNESCO as one of the lifelong learning trainings for women and for literacy. Also, the effect is not just on the children and on the women, it's also on the whole community as well. The community started realizing that they can be change makers. They don't have to wait for somebody to make something for them. They themselves can identify their own problems and come up with their own solutions. So as a result, We Love Reading has spread throughout the world, not just in Jordan and the Arab world, but to other countries such as Thailand and Azerbaijan and Germany. We even got a call from New York saying that we want to adopt your model. And I said, but I thought you guys read. Why do you want our model? And they said, but your model is not just about reading. It's about bringing the community together. People start knowing each other. And most importantly, there are pockets of poverty or immigrants who actually do not read. And so this is a great model that we can adopt. And so we have it now. People are starting to implement it in North Carolina, in New York City, and Urbana-Champaign. And our latest edition is in Uganda and in Congo and Ethiopia. And the reason it's spreading, it's because it's called a movement. Why is it a movement? Because it piggybacks on a network of people who share the same values and same goals in trying to improve their children's lives, improve the community, and making a difference. And as a result, the model, why is it so successful? One, it's very simple. All you need is an adult to read a child's story, so they don't have to be very educated. It can be in any place, in a public space. It could be outside in the mountains, anywhere. It is cost efficient because all you need is a few books, 20 books at most, because the child loves to listen to the story again and again and again. And later on, the community starts contributing to the library because they feel they buy into the idea. It's flexible because every reader tailors it, every volunteer tailors it to fit her culture, her needs, her community. And it's sustainable because the person who is starting the library in her neighborhood is a trusted person from the neighborhood, and she's getting all the credit for the successes and achievements of the children. She's getting it. So that's her incentive to keep on going in her library. So as such, I ask you all to join me, be part of the movement, try to spread We Love Reading around the world, even if it means you're reading to the children around you, in your own neighborhood or even in your own home, so that we can give the chance for every child to feel the thrill and the joy of reading so that they can grow up to be change makers and make a difference in their homes, in their communities, and in the whole world. Thank you very much.